So I'm going to make a proper update video now, and also a good Wednesday today, so I apologise for that. I don't know if anyone actually saw it though. And probably for a good reason. Um, yeah, I'm so burnt out. Simply put, it's not good. I'm not in a good place at the moment. And to be honest, don't know what to do. It's in a lot of places, and the very few bits of advice I've found don't look like they're going to work. We'll have to see. Um, yeah, not in a good place at the moment. Obviously, autistic burnout has a lot of different elements, and apparently it's similar to neurotypical burnout, but it's like it has more severe consequences, and that's why it's quite dangerous to leave untreated. I guess is the term. That's weird. It's raining. Um, just playing Final Fantasy. Yeah, like apparently untreated, it can lead to even worse consequences. And to be honest, having gone through that myself, it seems to be true. They do literally get worse, and my advice to any autistic people who are going through this currently, just please fucking get help. Try anything no matter the cost. Because the consequences are quite severe. You get like high blood pressure, you get gastrointestinal issues, as is my case. Like, I go frequently, even though I don't have inflammation of my bowels, which certainly adds an element to it. Well, according to the tests I've done. But it's like, yeah, which I can go on a message back. I'll actually ask the doctors who are helping me with that about what to do from now. I don't know. Yeah, like many elements to burnout and sensory wise, like there's only so much you can do, and I'm also having sleep deprivation. So all these sort of combined is not leading to me being in a happy place at the moment. And it's like to the point where I have considered moving again just because it's too much. And unfortunately, like sort of idiots at work and sort of caring for quote unquote autistic people, what they think is autistic people, because there's never actually anyone who admits that they know what an autistic person is and know what the spectrum implies. But yeah, um, it's like impossible to even find anywhere that can accommodate my needs. For example, this place, I actually haven't got a proper roof over my head, so not only is there a risk of potentially leaks when it's heavily raining, or I get something like hits it, or because there's actually animals that go onto it, like the roof. Um, there's also the risk that there could be damage, and that's going to have such a big impact on my fucking life if that goes wrong. That it's going to be irrecoverable, and that's going to be my like, most anxious thought. Like, holy shit, people! Like, what the fuck are you doing? It's just fucking crazy. Like, I'm the only one who realises this. I'm told that it's going to be fine because for some reason, if you built it, it makes it fine. Like, what? It just makes no sense. And like, if it was a slanted roof, it would fucking be fine. There'd be less risk. But at the moment, there's like a lot of risk, and that's definitely not helping. And I don't even know how places get designed with a roof like this. For fuck's sake, it's not even hard to put a slanted roof on it. It's just like a pane of something, and at a certain angle, it allows water to drop off. Simple. Done. But no, you live in a world with complete fucking morons who do not do these basic things. So, yeah, So that's like an example of a situation I'm in now. Not an example, it is a situation. I think other people can, and like that's why I can't necessarily get anywhere really that's accommodating. And for this place, I'd even considered flats, and even that seems like too much for me, just because, again, it's not accommodating. Again, it's not hard to build a fucking wall that fucking soundproofs itself. Stop building walls with wood and shit, and start fucking insulating it. Stop blocking out all the sound however you can. It's just so ridiculous. Same with floors as well. Like, imagine like just a thin piece of metal would help. That'd also insulate as well. Strange enough. I don't know. I'm not an architect. So fun fact, I actually was considering being an architect as a career choice. When I was in school, I was doing design and technology. Sort of designed a few houses, I think, in that. I had access to a 3D software of all things. And at the time I was watching a Channel 4 program called Grand Designs. It's always the same thing every fucking week, looking back on it. They'd make this really interesting house that looked nice and was in a good area. And the plan was to have it built in say 6 months. Which is unrealistic, but also that never ever happened. So it was ended up that at the end of the episode, it was like the houses weren't finished. And yeah, like that was the conclusion. It's like, what the fuck? Such an odd show in that sense. Yeah, I just wish more was done to like the places that we live in to be more secure. Like also, it's like kids as well. If you're living in a flat with a family, like for starters, they shouldn't be in a flat. That's one of the obvious things. I think flats should be restricted to people who are either single or do not have much family. Like it should only be restricted to a few people, and even elderly people deserve something like a flat because in a big house. Honestly, of all the elderly people I've known in my life, I don't think many of them really need a house. Definitely for what they do, it doesn't seem like that. It depends on the hobby and stuff that they have. And yeah, but most in general, it depends on the person. But yeah, that's enough of that. What's the next thing? Yeah, because I got the news that the psychiatrist I was seeing wasn't willing to review my medication. That caused massive burnout, as you might expect. It's because there's cats on the roof. Tapping. But yeah, like the medication, they weren't willing to review it, so they told me to stay on the one that I'm currently on, which is very much not helping, even though I said it's not helping. Um, and they didn't even bother following up with a diagnosis. Like I need a ADHD diagnosis, for example, because I haven't been diagnosed as it, but I know I have it. As you could just tell, I focused on the thing above me rather than what I'm thinking of. And it happens very frequently. It happens in real life a lot as well. Like when I'm talking to people, I sometimes get distracted. Somehow I'm having a conversation, not really talking much. I never do. And then suddenly I see a squirrel. Oh, there's a squirrel. And that happens almost every single time in a social situation. But yeah, but this sort of led me to a really dark place again. And then I sort of I use the NHS 111 service, and they were actually helpful, even though they coming back to me about it. They definitely did something to help, which is rare. I remember the last times I've used it, it just hasn't helped, but this time actually felt like I was getting somewhere. Um, was essentially, without going into too many details, I was told to consider therapy again, and it was only after I mentioned that I wanted something to cater to my autism that they said, like, "Oh, you're experiencing burnout. Listed the symptoms. I have them all." So that answers a lot. And I didn't even know it. And the doctors, which are not doctors, I think we should stop calling them that. Should just call them article readers, might as well. They didn't bother questioning that, and that's the problem. They rush me out the door. They don't question anything, they don't dig into it. It's as simple as like them trying to get you a prescription, and that's it. Um, it's quite bad. Um, yeah, that was quite an eye opener in a sense. But apparently they're also being pushed now again for a proper medication review. That could happen. Um, so wait and see though again, because knowing them, it's probably going to be another case of, "Oh, we think this because we're smarter than you," and they're not. They're not in my body. They don't know what I'm going through, and also I feel like the medication isn't working, and that's as good a proof as any. Not you or the psychiatrist saying you should stay on it just because, you know, it seems like there's a lack of intelligence like anymore in the NHS and stuff. Um, yeah, like after that, sort of began thinking about it, did some research, and I looked at some ways to sort of cope with autistic burnout. I did come across one video that was kind of helpful in a sense. Um, but the general gist I got from it anyway was trying to do routine kind of help, and I don't know about that yet. Um, definitely other things I can't remember. But I sort of looked at the National Autistic Society's page again today about how to manage it, and one of the suggestions is energy. I've got to write it down somewhere. Yeah, so there's no easy solution, but I will try energy management as a compromise of obviously like a position I would want to be in. And I think that's kind of important. I think that might be the way forward, honestly. I struggle to exercise, but with energy management, supposedly, I can sort of meet it halfway in a sense. And do the things that I want to do without completely crashing out, essentially, and melting down. That's when I'm going through like a second puberty or something. Keep getting voice cracks. Even at 28. Yeah, like one example, overeating. I'll snack in the evenings and maybe have like a dessert. One of the things I actually started buying recently was like for dessert related things. I just have half the thing that I usually have. And that has sort of helped over time anyway. Doing it for the past few weeks. Like have chocolate bars in my drawer for some reason. I just snap them in half because they're reasonably sized chocolate bars. Not massive though. And I just have that. I like them right in my mouth and stuff as I usually do. And that does kind of help. Yeah, well, it seems to be a matter of experimentation and knowing limits. I think more importantly for my situation, it's about managing it in a way that is possible. Because a lot of things at the moment feel impossible, even going out to do something. And that's where I get consistently stuck and stuff. So I think the way forward definitely is to make a compromise and try and do things that I can do, like make. I'm just listing actually. I think basically I wrote it down here, putting myself in the gear and forcing myself to do it, to do things I technically don't feel like doing, but doing it like half-assed, I guess, halfway. Yeah, like for hobbies, for example, I just have that, and for things that I do like weekly, I can change it to 2 weeks. This way, it gives me room to like plan things out and do things, and I'll be able to do most of them anyway. But not all of it, and that's a compromise. Growing pimples everywhere, I don't know why. It's weird. Um, there is like one thing that can essentially stop that. That's when things go wrong. Like sort of tying into that thing about the roof again. It definitely feels like anything could go wrong at this point because it definitely has. Like, last night I fucking opened a beer. Um, and not last night. It was actually in the afternoon, early afternoon. I opened a can of beer and it fucking went everywhere. I wasn't squirting out, but it was like oozing out, and it went all over my desk. Luckily, avoided the electronics. I was quite fast about it. I actually like sucked up the as it was coming out, sucked up the foam as best as I could, so it didn't spill. Um, yeah, like things just seem to go wrong for some reason. Even in real life, like it seems to be like weird happenings and stuff that you don't really expect. Like, I'm kind of unsure in that sense. No one watching out there. Oh, I've got. I think a bird has got like a clump of hair or something. They're using it to make a nest. Wait, they're making it. Huh, making it outside my window. Sure. Don't want like that. Anyway, um, yeah, like things can go wrong, like lack of support, lack of accommodating my situation. Will make it worse in most cases, and one of the most useless pieces of advice from actually the autistic burnout stuff. It's like getting out of the situation. It seems to be very ignorant of the fact that if someone is going through burnout, especially consistently, then that implies that the situation is probably not going to change. Probably not going to be possible because if it was, they would fucking be out of the situation, wouldn't they? Like if it was that obvious, then people would have moved on, would have helped themselves. Because we literally can't do anything. And we're stuck in the phase of burnout. And that's my problem with that bit of advice. And it's like only as good as if it's like applicable to someone. That goes for every piece of advice ever. So yeah, it's just an update. Um, I've got everything else to say, so see everyone another time.